Today I will talking about the regular faculty training for the users of the isotope facility. The following is the procedure for the registering a new user at the Graduate School of Agriculture and Life Science. Blood tests record the condition of the blood before handling the radiation. Then you learn the basics of radiation in the university training course. And finally, this training course will teach you how to use radiation in this faculty. So it's like a local rule. Once the training is completed, you will be registered in the radiation users list and will be able to enter the room. If you want to use facility other than our school, you only need to attend a training course at each facility to use them. So first, let's review a little bit of the content of the university training course. There are two important units of measurement, becquerel and sievert. 1 becquerel represents the number of nucleus and that decay in 1 second. Note that more than one radiation may be emitted during a single decay. For example, the cesium-137 decays to the ground state of barium-137 by beta emission, but this is for the only about 5% of cesium-137. The remainder decays by beta emission to a metastable barium-137M, and then to the ground state of the stable barium-137 by the additional emission of gamma ray. The sievert is a measure of the Hell's effect, which can be calculated by this formula. Radiation emitted from radioisotopes can cause the Hell's effect. We can evaluate it using this formula. The dose factor is calculated for each radioisotope, and you can find this elsewhere. For example, if you eat food containing 1000 becquerel of cesium-137, the dose can be 0.0013 millisievert. Then how much of an impact of 0.0013 sievert? To see this dose scale is very useful. When you fly between Tokyo and New York, you are exposed to the cosmic rays, which are almost 0.2 millisievert, and about 100 millisievert. An increase in the incidence of cancer is detected statistically. Radiation users are more likely to be exposed than the general public and are required to control the exposure not to exceed 50 millisievert in a year. But this 50 is a standard for the management of our facility. It's not enough to say that's okay as long as the dose not exceed 50, but we should try to avoid exposure as much as possible. Now let's check the basic rules for the use of the facility. When using the facility, put the glass badge all the time. A glass badge is the personal dosimeter, having the detection limit of 0.1 millisievert. Men should attach it on the chest area and women on the abdomen area. Glass badge also functions as a key to gain access to the facility and the storage room. Note that anyone can access to the radioisotope storage room only twice a day. That is, once for the pickup for the radiation isotopes and once for return it. Please do not bring food, drink, or cigarettes. Be careful not to enter the facility while chewing gum. For the safety purpose, you can bring your own cell phones, but beware of contamination. Keep the risk of the contamination in mind and only bring what you need for experiments and work. Please wear socks and yellow lab coat while in the facility. Pay attention to the hems of your trouser. When you leave the facility, wash your hands and then check for the contamination with an HFC monitor. The probe of the HFC monitor is fragile and should be moved gently and slowly. If you find any contamination on your slippers or other items, please do not leave them and report it to the office. And check the pockets to make sure there's nothing left. Here are the precautions for the use of radioisotopes. When you use radioisotopes, put a paper sheet on the workbench. It is also effective to put a paper sheet on the floor in case the radioisotopes are splashed. If you don't have a suitable tray, you can use plastic wrap and paper towels instead, and use the severometers to check the contamination frequently. You should also be careful of the floor contamination. Occasionally, there is contamination on the floor caused by walking around with the contaminated slippers. If the count is about 100 cpm higher than the background level, suspect contamination and carry out decontamination work immediately. If you need any help, please contact the office. Here are some notes on waste. Every experiment using unsealed radioisotopes will procedure contaminated waste. The waste is eventually sealed in drums and taken away from the facility. We ask only the waste managers to take care of the waste after bringing it into the waste storage room. So now, we will only explain what all users should do at the bench. Solid waste is separated into combustible, organic, and incombustible categories. Plastic procedures are normally organic waste, but if they have a metallic luster, even if only partially, they should be considered as incombustible waste, and the waste must be dried before closing the bags. There are two types of liquid waste: inorganic waste and organic waste. Please do not mix them, and ask your manager about storage methods for your laboratory. Please take any trash that is certainly not contaminated by radioisotopes back to the lab and throw it away. Then, let's have a quick look at the facility overview. The dean of the graduate school is Professor Tsutsumi, and the director of the facility is Professor Nimoto from this year. And we have 3 supervisors of radiation protection and 3 staff members in the radiation control office. One of the features of this facility is that we can use a wide variety of radioisotopes. At present, we have permission to use 55 radioisotopes in 38 elements. Please refer to the information when planning an experiment. There are common equipment available in the facility. In addition to the radiometric detectors, we also have general chemical analyzer and other equipment. You are welcome to take use of that equipment with guidance from a skilled person. Here is an opening hour of the facility. You can use normally during weekdays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. If you want to extend your work in the facility, you can use until midnight after online application. Depending on the demand, you can also use during nighttime, weekend, and holidays. In this case, you need to apply by 2 p.m. and we will ask the person in responsibility for a safety check after you leave the facility. The office counter is currently open only for 2 hours in a day. To contact us, please use phone or email as possible as you can. Here are some instructions for the handling of X-rays. This is the management system of this year, and the chair of Radiation Safety Management Committee is Professor Nemoto. The X-ray systems are classified into 5 categories. Users of non-closed type systems require retraining, exposure control, and regular health checkups. A system with an interlock function is categorized to B, but if the interlock function is disengaged, it will become category 3, C. So please do not modify or disengage the safety device. Open or close the shutters after confirming that no X-rays are generated. In KEK and Spring 8, be careful about the handling of activated materials. The Environmental Safety Administration is in charge of the equipment, and the Radiation Control Office is in charge of the users. If you have any problem, please contact. Please carry out the good experiment safely and carefully. Thank you.